Niner gang, we need to talk because the vibe around Santa Clara right now is intense. There's a delicate situation with the chemistry on offense, a heavy decision involving one of the top playmakers, a playoff race that's changing every single week, and on top of that, important updates coming out of practice before a huge primetime matchup. Some of this is going to fire up the 49ers faithful, and some of it is going to make people really nervous. Because at this point, every little detail can shape the future of this entire season, and nothing feels guaranteed anymore. While we're still trying to process all of that, there's a very curious situation developing on offense that not many people noticed at first, but it says a lot about where this team is right now. Brock Purdy came back sharp against the Cardinals, playing like he never missed a beat. Quick reads, mature decisions, that calm presence that makes everyone at Levi's Stadium breathe easier. His connection with George Kittle was ridiculous, like two veterans completely in sync, capped by that deep touchdown that had the whole red and gold fan base jumping off their couches. With Juwan Jennings, the chemistry was there too. Key conversions, clutch throws on third down, sustained drives, exactly the kind of rhythm this offense had been missing. It really felt like the band was back together. But in the middle of that show, one name practically disappeared in a way that's impossible to ignore. Kendrick Bourne. No targets, no catches, nothing. For a lot of fans, that almost feels like a sign of distrust, like he's sliding down the internal hierarchy. But when Purdy himself talks about it, the picture changes. He made it clear he respects Bourne a lot, that they're tight in the locker room, that he admires what the wideout brings in energy, personality, and work ethic. The point, according to him, is pure timing and reps. They just haven't shared the field that much in meaningful game situations, and that matters a lot when you're throwing into tight windows and trusting where a guy will be before he makes his break. Quarterbacks are creatures of habit. They throw to the guys they know in detail, the ones whose routes they can visualize before the snap. Right now, those mental snapshots belong to Kittle, to Jennings, to Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. The positive spin here is that this isn't a condemnation, it's a process. Purdy said he has full confidence that when the right moment comes, he and Bourne will connect and produce. And that's where it gets really interesting. If that chemistry starts to click over the next few weeks, the 49ers suddenly gain another legitimate weapon exactly when every snap can decide playoff seeding, home field advantage, and even whether this core gets one more Super Bowl run together. Until that connection shows up consistently, though, the fan base stays split. One side understands the tactical side of it, the other side looks at Bourne's effort and history and wonders if he's being underused. Could the game plan scheme him in earlier with quick routes, screens, and slants just to get him into rhythm and force defenses to respect him? Because deep down, everybody knows a fully engaged Kendrick Bourne on top of what this offense already has is the kind of small detail that can flip a playoff game in January. While the faithful is still trying to picture a more balanced attack, another shot hits right in the chest, the very real possibility of a future without Brandon Aiyuk. His decision to let the guarantees void and basically make it easier for the team to move on shakes the foundation of this roster. This isn't just a contract ending badly, it's a harsh message about risk, title window, and the price of losing a true game changer. Yes, the franchise does get some breathing room on the salary cap. If he never gets back to who he was before the serious injury, then financially San Francisco escapes a huge burden. But let's be honest, does any fan look at losing one of the most dominant receivers to wear red and gold in recent years and call that a win? Without Aiyuk, the bill comes due fast. Suddenly, wide receiver stops being a luxury and becomes an urgent, screaming need in the draft. Ricky Pearsall flashes real talent, crisp routes, confidence, but he hasn't put together that consistent stretch that lets fans relax. Juwan Jennings is a warrior, clutch on third down, loved in the locker room, but handing him a big extension without thinking is risky. Behind those two, the depth doesn't exactly scare defensive coordinators. Betting that the draft will magically deliver another Aiyuk in year one is playing with fire. Rookies need time to adjust to NFL speed, time to build chemistry with the quarterback, time to fully master Kyle Shanahan's playbook. Meanwhile, the clock on this title window doesn't stop. This roster is full of veterans on big contracts, guys at or just past their prime. This is the moment. It's now or maybe never again with this specific core. Free agency isn't a magic fix either. The type of receiver that usually hits the market is either older with a long injury history or a player who's never been as productive as Aiyuk at his peak. You can spend the new cap space, sure, but it's hard to imagine someone walking in and instantly matching that same impact. In the end, it feels like the 49ers are simply a worse team today. Not because the front office alone messed up, but because sometimes things just don't break your way. You don't replace a playmaker like Aiyuk overnight, and that might be the thin line between a dominant Super Bowl run and another painful almost season. And if you're still riding this roller coaster with the faithful, drop your take in the comments, let your voice be heard, and stay locked in with us for every twist of this wild year. While everyone is trying to digest that, the playoff picture comes roaring into focus, bringing that mix of hope, tension, and pure math that only the NFL stretch run can deliver. The 41-22 win over the Cardinals wasn't just a relief, it was a statement. After the stumble against the Rams when the team fell out of the NFC's top 7 for the first time all season, the 49ers answered with authority, regained emotional control, and reminded the entire conference they're still a serious threat. With the big margin and a dominant performance, San Francisco climbed to 7-4 and ironically got some help from the Eagles, who took down the Lions and opened the door for the Niners to get back into the playoff group. Right now, they sit in the 7th seed, half a game ahead of Detroit and a full game ahead of the Panthers. Is it tight? Absolutely. But they're alive, and the schedule just added a rare twist. With Monday Night Football against Carolina coming up and a Week 14 bye right behind it, there's even a scenario, unlikely but mathematically possible, where they could lock up a wild card spot as early as Week 15. To make that happen, everything needs to fall perfectly into place. 3 straight wins to reach 10-4, while Lions, Panthers, and Buccaneers crash at the same time. That's not the kind of parlay anyone should count on, but the fact that it exists shows just how unpredictable the NFC really is. Things get even more intriguing when the conversation shifts from wild card survival to a potential division crown. If the 49ers keep winning and the Rams and Seahawks fall into a losing skid, a shock turnaround in the NFC West could materialize as early as Week 16. That would be a full Hollywood storyline. The team that looked like it was wobbling in the division, suddenly surging at the perfect moment and planting its flag when it matters the most. Of course, nothing about this is easy. The Rams and Seahawks still face opponents who can seriously complicate their lives, including head-to-head clashes and tough matchups against competitive NFC rosters. Even if the odds of everything lining up are small, just seeing those paths on the table messes with the emotions of the fan base. Because once you realize there's a real opening, even a small one, the heart of the Niner gang starts beating faster. All of that becomes even more important when we shift our focus to this week's preparation, because this Monday night showdown against the Panthers could be exactly the game that changes the tone of the entire season. There's a real "this is where everything clicks" kind of energy building over Levi's Stadium as the team comes home off a convincing win. The best news is that Friday's practice report didn't bring any new scares, which for a roster that's been hammered by injuries all year already feels like a win. Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams were back on the field after simple veteran rest days. 2 absolute pillars of the offense, 2 unquestioned leaders. Just having that duo in full rhythm changes the confidence level of everyone in the building. At the same time, there are still a few red flags keeping the faithful holding their breath. Robert Beal Jr. remains in the concussion protocol, Eddie Pinheiro is dealing with a hamstring issue, and Tatum Bethune is working his way back from an ankle injury. Those 3 were the only active roster players missing from practice. Beal was seen doing some light running on a side field, which is a positive sign, but far from any guarantee for Monday night. In a week when every tactical detail matters, defensive depth and special teams execution can absolutely swing the outcome. Among the limited participants, Luke Gifford continues to be monitored with hip and neck issues. On the positive side, the full go list brings real relief. Ricky Pearsall practiced without restrictions, giving the offense more flexibility. Brock Purdy is over the toe problem. Curtis Robinson is back in the mix. Trent Williams and McCaffrey are ready, and D. Winters got through a full practice after dealing with knee trouble. On the other side, the Panthers come in under pressure too. Linebacker concerns, a secondary that's been patched together, some key players pushing through pain, and even so, this is the kind of team that loves to drag big games into the mud and see who blinks first. Bryce Young practiced fully, which means Robert Saleh's defense has to come in locked, disciplined, and aggressive, especially against quick timing routes and early down throws. After a day packed with tension, optimism, and those little details only people who truly live the red and gold notice, it really feels like we're standing at a turning point. Every storyline we hit tonight shows a 49ers team fighting, adjusting, and searching for answers while keeping the flame of this season burning hot. The faithful knows nothing is guaranteed, but everything is still on the table. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these situations hits you hardest as a fan? The Bourne chemistry, the Aiyuk drama, the playoff math, or the Panthers showdown? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and stay with us all the way to whatever ending this wild season delivers.